In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 wide receivers I am all in on for fantasy football drafts in 2024. I'm Nick Whalen from RotoWire. Let's get right to it. We start with Cooper Kupp of the LA Rams. Now, if you're willing to take the risk, Cooper Kupp is one of my favorite wide receiver values on the board this season. Look, I made the comparison before. He's the Kawhi Leonard of the NFL. When he's out there, he's incredible. He's one of the best receivers in the game, but in fantasy, we know there's considerable downside here. He's missed chunks of time in each of the last 2 seasons, but he's only 2 years removed from finishing as by far the #1 wide receiver in fantasy, lapped the field back in 2021. So we know what the upside is. I found myself buying in on Cooper Kupp this season. I'm willing to take that risk. He's going off the board as the wide receiver 22 in NFFC right now. No one has more upside in that range than Cooper Kupp. Sign me up for one last elite season with Matthew Stafford and that Sean McVay offense, especially if I'm in a league where there's an overall component. I'm gunning for the title. I'm shooting for the stars, going boom or bust. I'm all over Cooper Kupp for better or for worse. We'll get into some values now as we continue. Jakobi Meyers, one of my favorite values on the board, wide receiver 55 right now in consensus ADP. Look, no one's excited about the Las Vegas Raiders, and for good reason, perhaps. It's Gardner Minshew, it's Aiden O'Connell. Probably going to see both at some point this season, but I see opportunity here for Jakobi Meyers. He's put up 3 straight 800-plus yard seasons despite bad QB play in Vegas, even worse QB play in New England. He racked up 106 targets in 16 games last season. That's 3 fewer than Nico Collins. That was more targets than Brandon Ayuk. He also found the end zone 10 times a season ago. And look, if Devontae Adams is traded at some point, we're looking at Jakobi Meyers stepping in to a wide receiver 1 role in this offense. Even in Vegas, that's incredibly valuable. For a guy going in the 10th round, sometimes later, I am in on Jakobi Meyers. He's been a top 30 wide receiver in PPR in each of the last 3 seasons. If you're enjoying this video, please give us a like, subscribe to the RotoWire YouTube channel. That really helps us out a ton. We appreciate it. The next receiver I am in on, another value further down the board, Jaxson Smith-Njigba of the Seattle Seahawks. I really like JSN. I think he had a better rookie year than he's given credit for. Was banged up, was playing in an offense that was up and down. He was solidly the 3rd option in Seattle last season. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they were mostly healthy. They only missed 1 game combined. Can we count on that again? I'm going to say probably not. I think this is the year Jaxson Smith-Njigba could overtake Tyler Lockett and truly assert himself as the wide receiver 2 next to DK Metcalf. Lockett's 31 this season. Kind of wonder if that cliff is coming. He's been durable for the most part, but a lot of tread taken off those tires throughout his career. And Seattle invested a 1st-round pick in Jaxson Smith-Njigba. They didn't draft him to be a role player for this offense. They want him to break out. They got a new offensive coordinator in town, and Ryan Grubb. He should be able to unlock Jaxson Smith-Njigba in the slot. JSN right now, going off the board as the wide receiver 46. That's almost exactly where he finished last season as a rookie, so he's basically being drafted at his floor. Give me JSN to push for top 30 value. Next on the list, Darnell Mooney of the Atlanta Falcons. If this Falcons offense is going to be as good as we think it can be, they're going to need a second wide receiver to step up. I think Darnell Mooney is very clearly that guy. Now, obviously, they have Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts. You can basically function as a wide receiver. You have Bijan Robinson, who's great catching the ball out of the backfield. That's a lot of targets for those 3 to suck up in this offense. But beyond London and Moody, there is very little reliable depth in that Falcons wide receiver room. And Mooney right now, he's basically free. In some drafts, he's going in the 14th, 15th round. Compared to the other Hail Mary dart throws you're making at that point, a lot of wide receiver 3s on bad teams. I really like Mooney's upside in what could be a very, very good Falcons offense. Josh Palmer of the LA Chargers. Here's another late round guy that I like. There's massive opportunity this season in LA. Keenan Allen is gone. Mike Williams is gone. Austin Eckler is gone. That's a lot of targets out the door. Chargers brought in Ladd McConkey, who I don't mind targeting him later in drafts as well, but Palmer's the guy you could still get around pick 150 in a lot of drafts. He could very well be the wide receiver 1 for a team that's still quarterbacked by Justin Herbert. I know we have questions about the Chargers offense. Will it look different? How different will it look under Jim Harbaugh? But, even if you're not excited about the direction of this offense, if you worry it's going to be more run heavy, you have to take into account that Josh Palmer is the #1 wide receiver for Justin Herbert. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm in on Josh Palmer. Finally, we'll give you a bonus here at the end. Couldn't just cap it at 5. We got to go 6. George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the Steelers. We're worried about the quarterback play. I am legitimately scared about what Arthur Smith will do in Pittsburgh. I have no idea why they brought him in, but look, no matter what, you have to respect what George Pickens did last season for a team that could barely move the ball on offense, was terrible in the passing game. They had 13 passing touchdowns as a team last season. 13. That number has to rise by default. I think there's serious touchdown progression coming for the Steelers offense, whether it's Russell Wilson, whether it's Justin Fields. And even last season, with some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL, George Pickens still found his way into 1,100 plus yards. You could argue that there is not a team in the NFL that has a bigger gap between its wide receiver one and the rest of its pass catchers than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who even is their wide receiver two? Who is it? I don't know. There's not an obvious choice on the roster. So even if we don't like the Steelers offense, even if you're worried about Arthur Smith, you're worried about the quarterback play, George Pickens is so far and away the number one target in that offense. I think there's going to be plenty of value there this season. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe to RotoWire's YouTube channel, be the first to see all of our fantasy football content this season.